Welcome back to Battlefield 2042. In this video, I want to talk to you about EA, DICE, all the companies and all the people and stuff like Ripple Effect, the ones that are involved with Battlefield 2042, and basically send a love letter back to them, but actually send what they call a love letter instead of something that makes absolutely no sense, something that's a complete lie, and comes across as a scam. Before we jump into this one, if you are not currently subbed to the channel, make sure you do sub, turn notifications on. All support is greatly appreciated, and if you want to support me further as a creator, check out the links in the description. And let's jump into it. A lot of people will blame DICE for the lack of actual quality when it comes to developing. A lot of people will blame EA and all the other executives because they rush games out just to get their hands on money. You also have news outlets that get involved, and it is not always the case, but in the case of Battlefield 2042, they have come across as though the fans, the players, the community, they're the ones to be blamed for everything. And the reason I say that is I saw a lot of news outlets saying that they think people are jumping on a bandwagon to hate against Battlefield so much that it gets run into the ground and it flops. That's not the case at all. The Battlefield community for years have, just like any other game really, are really passionate about the game and they never wanted it to fail. They've just jumped in with their frustrations and they're just expressing how they feel about the game. And yeah, it comes across as hate, it comes across as, oh, this game's going to flop, oh, this dead game, blah, 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 so on and so forth. But really, all they've ever wanted is the companies to listen and actually tailor the game to how players want it. So trying to get to the bottom of who's actually at fault for this, you've had developers say they were months ahead of schedule, you've had them say that bug fixing's really easy, the game's looking ready and polished for launch, and then you've had them come out after the release of the game saying we should have done this, should have done that, we're tightening up our review process for featured modes in Portal. There's a lot of different things being said from different sort of paths, like avenues within the studios. So some of the problems I personally see are the fact that there's a lot of people coming in and out of the studios, and I'm not entirely sure of their role, but someone that's new to basically the foundation, so either EA, DICE, Ripple Effect, any of them companies, this person's come into the Battlefield franchise and they've come from a Call of Duty background. So whether or not they're directing the game to be more towards a Call of Duty style, I mean, if you load up the game, you have specialists, they're doing all the season pass and things like that, so it is similar. They've gone with a really arcadey sort of route for this Battlefield, and that's not how it is from its roots. There's been much more of a military sort of focus. And as I said in a previous video, Call of Duty's always been that more child-focused, arcadey sort of shooter, whereas Battlefield was always more of an experience. Like, basically when I was a teenager, I'd sit there and I'd say, like with all my friends and stuff, oh, COD's the kids' game, and if you're a real man, you play Battlefield. It's just more of a realistic sort of military experience, even though it's not like a full-on mil sim or something like that. It's always been a little step up from the arcadey sort of game that Call of Duty is, or the franchise it is. So there's a lot of different people that work on this game, and it's actually quite tough to figure out who is to blame for the mess that Battlefield 2042 is. So you could have EA and all the other higher up people that make the decisions and, oh, we're going to rush this out, we want to get the Christmas money, so on and so forth. We're not going to give you as many resources as you need, we're not going to give you the time you need. The game's just going to release as it is. EA did say that this game is more live service than Battlefield 5. And I stated that in videos before the game come out because Battlefield 5 was live service and it got abandoned where they just couldn't keep up with it, they couldn't be bothered anymore. Fans were turning against the franchise. So they went back to the drawing board, come up with the idea of 2042, said it's going to be even more live service than Battlefield 5. It's going to be focused more on the live service aspect. And I think that's probably one of the only true things that come out of them. But even with that being true, and a lot of the features that should be in the game missing and stuff like that, they're not treating it as live service, because a live service product gets regular updates, gets new content quite often, and the first season not starting until March, that's 4 months after the game released. with it taking them like 2 months to realise that everyone wants a scoreboard, which should have been in the game by launch. After they acknowledge it and let the community know that they're working on it, it's still like a month away. And it's still a work in progress feature. Why should a scoreboard for a shooter ever be a work in progress? So on one hand, you can easily blame EA. On the other hand, you can easily blame DICE because, yeah, they're getting instructions, they're following basically their orders, but they're developers, they're qualified people. They should know how to put this stuff together, and the stuff they have put together, even if they don't have enough time, doesn't work. So obviously, I'm not experienced when it comes to developing. I've never developed a game in my life. And no, I don't plan to. If I think the game's bad, no, I'm not going to go and apply for a job at DICE. But when you are developing something, you have qualifications, you have experience. Even if you are given a limited amount of time, you should be able to get your job done. So is it EA to blame entirely because they rushed it out? Or is DICE to blame completely because they never developed it properly? Or is it a mixture of both? Is everyone that's involved with this to blame for how bad it really is? There's a lot of questions that I have, and the reason I'm doing this video is I've been trying to gather community feedback. Everyone's saying, are you not doing too many Battlefield videos? The Battlefield videos at the moment are the videos that are interesting a lot more people, so I'm going to stick to the Battlefield videos. But as always, I take community feedback on board. If people say to me, can you play this game? I always write it down on a little list. And then when I do get some spare time, when I have the available time to schedule a video in between the videos that I've planned for my channel, I do upload these games. It's not all Battlefield. Yeah, you might see 10, 20 Battlefield videos in a row, but not so long ago, I played a bit of Hell Let Loose, Insurgency Sandstorm, Rainbow Six Extraction. There are other games on the channel to watch. I have like almost 3,500 videos on this channel, and even though I'm kind of neglecting it at the moment, I do have a second channel as well. But I always try and take the community feedback on board, and one thing someone said to me recently, I've got the actual comment, I screenshotted it. Someone said, like, I was putting out community posts, what do you want to see? Shooters, looters, shooters. Do you want to see this game, that game, so on and so forth? And someone said, just become a rant channel. Don't change the formula, which brought your viewers. I don't watch 80% of your content, and I'm being honest here, not mean. And that's just because it's semi-boring. You made a video the other day literally trying to get into a match that was map specific on Battlefield 2042. And it was specific to that video, and there was nothing to watch the entire time. It was an actual time waste. Your rant videos, however, were very great and good talking points. Maybe you should try a podcast style when discussing hate on games with random footage. This is just my input. And then when I said more and more people are starting to get fed up with watching Battlefield 2042, I had a look through the comments and people are sitting there saying, I just put whatever video on and I sit there and I listen to it. I don't care for the gameplay sort of videos. So what I'm going to be doing is trying something completely different. In the past, I've done a lot of the gameplay stuff, but I think what I'm going to do is the games that I'm focusing on for my channel, so right now 2042, I will sit there and do these videos where I'm just essentially talking to myself into my microphone, and I'll just put gameplay in the background. So a lot of people like this entire section of talking about the community feedback on the channel. A lot of people will see this as rambling. You're just building up the length for your video, so on and so forth. There's obviously in every possible area of uploading content, there's always going to be people that you can't please. But that was just to explain this type of content is the content that you're probably going to see for a little while. Where I still have the gameplay in the background. I mean, it's me. You can't expect amazing gameplay. I'm an average gamer. My shooting ability on like the best of days is still dreadful. But instead of me just sitting there like I did with the video, I just left nothing in the background. It was just sat in the menu and I was just talking, saying like, this is my 80th search, so on and so forth. Instead of that, you will now see like a continuous gameplay loop so that there's something to watch and something to listen to. So hopefully you guys do enjoy that. Let me know your thoughts and stuff about it in the comments. And in terms of the love letter, or whatever you want to call it, I think right now, Battlefield 2042 is in the worst state it's been in terms of the player base. There's barely anyone playing this game. A lot of regions have suffered for a long time, like searching for matches. People are waiting like 10 minutes upwards to get into a game. And I've never really, like being from the UK, I've never really had issues searching for the European like regional matches. But one thing, as of late, it is incredibly tough, even for me to personally get into a game. I've never had a problem finding a match. So it goes to show that they are still bleeding players every single day. There are less and less people playing this game. That realistically is what people would say a boycott. And a lot of people always say boycott this company, boycott that company. And you can't just go around and boycott companies. It doesn't work like that. If you could, it would be absolutely ideal. But if a game has 5 million players and 4 million people left, there are still 1 million people playing that game. So the companies aren't going to do anything because people are still playing. So what needs to happen to make the best possible boycott is for people to not further put money into their pockets. So if you have a friend saying, do I buy 2042? No, don't buy this game. When Season 1 comes out and you're thinking, this has really, really good content, I might just pick it up even though the game's had its issues in the past. Don't do it. If you've already got the game, you've already sunk your money into it, they're going to be sat there laughing or whatever. Yeah, we've got the money, we've stolen their money, we're making profit on this game's doing well for us. It's already too late to make a difference on that front, so if you just don't further enable them to do this stuff, they will eventually see that people are not happy with it, so they won't be making any further profit. One of the best examples I can give to explain that so that people understand easier is a lot of people, and I'm talking hundreds of thousands of people, complain about there not being a GTA 6. There's nothing wrong with GTA Online. It works. GTA 5 is a great game. So there's no issues of people saying, oh, it's your own fault, you've wasted money on this product, because there's a lot of value to come from it. But after they made their initial sales profit, they obviously as a company want to make more and more. So by purchasing the shark cards whenever a new DLC comes out, you're enabling them to carry it on. So it's not necessarily about don't pre-order, stop it before it happens. That is the ideal situation for people to not just blindly go and pre-order a game. But if that's already happened because people trust the company or whatever, there are still ways to get the companies to listen. And that would be when they release something that has a monetary value. So something like a battle pass, a DLC, new skins in their store, whatever it may be, you've just got to be, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to buy it. You've pissed me off. I want this game to be better. The more people that do that, the more the company will see that they can't get away with it, and then something might be done. It's obviously not a guarantee to work like that, but that is the best scenario for it. So what I think they should have done with this game is delayed it by a year. In that year, they could have developed it a lot more, so it wouldn't be 40% of the game coming out. We could have got 70% of the game instead. They still could have made their Christmas money and got all the profits and stuff from that. It just would have been a year later. But some of the things I believe they should have done is, for a start, give us way more than 22 weapons and 7 maps, even if it is live service. They should have built Portal way bigger than it was, so add more maps to each of the games, even try and introduce other games into it at a faster rate or something. Hazard Zone needed a lot more attention. Not just rip the maps from All Out Warfare, change a few things here and there, make it smaller, give it a different objective and call it a brand new game mode. Because they built the hype up around Hazard Zone so much, I believe they knew it was really, really bad. And they were just trying to get the people that don't pay as much attention to go, oh okay, this is a good looking mode. Because there are a lot of people out there that don't pay attention, they just see a product from a company they love and they go, boom, that's mine. With All Out Warfare, they should have given us, even if it's not extra maps, just pay more attention to the map design. Having maps so open, so large, the bigger scale warfare is a load of shit. 128 players, there was no point. But they should have put more attention into the map design, made them more infantry focused, so they weren't just open, large spaces. And they should have put a couple of extra modes. Team Deathmatch, Rush, they should have been permanent modes in All Out Warfare from the get-go. And all they needed to do was polish the game, which for some reason seems to be really tough, but it should be an easy job. Especially when you have multiple quality assurance teams. These teams should be doing better to point out the problems. They should be testing the games. It makes you wonder if there are actually any QA specific teams that work for EA. With so many games coming out and being broken, it does make you wonder if they've gone through testing to see if they actually work properly before release. You have humongous issues in games. You had Outriders with people's inventories being stolen and their characters locked out of the game. They had to wait 2.5 months for a fix. You had the Division 2 Warlords of New York. The day that released, all of the leaders of the safe houses were broken. You couldn't interact with them. We had to wait 24 hours just to carry on with the DLC we had just paid for. There are massive issues in a lot of games, and it shouldn't be the case. We need some consumer protection. We need some sort of, I don't know, if there's enough people requesting a refund, all platforms should open up refunds straight away. There needs to be some sort of standards implemented into the industry. Because right now, gaming in terms of AAA is going downhill and it doesn't seem to be stopping. Companies might think, oh, it's too much work, we're not going to make anywhere near as much money. What they all fail to realise is if they created a quality product, even if players had to wait a year or even 2 years more than originally planned, if the game came out polished, it would have a better reception, it would get more praise, and it would be better. The companies would make more money. Right now, with Call of Duty Warzone, I see people complaining all the time about how broken it is. And yeah, Activision are making a lot of money from it, but if they just fixed the game, gave the community what they wanted, then they would make even more money. So these companies are stupid for not listening to the communities, because the community will make the game better through feedback, and then in turn the companies would make more money. I don't know why not a single person working in the gaming industry hasn't put that forward. But yeah, I think a lot more care needed to go into this game. And I mean a lot more. There has been so many issues, even an update to fix stability made the stability even worse. And I know we've spoken about this stuff quite a lot, but it does still need to be said. EA, DICE, all the other companies need to be aware that this shit is going on. Because right now, the next update scheduled is mid to late February, so when are they going to put renewal back on the older consoles? Are they even going to bother fixing it? How long are players going to have to wait to get that map back? Because 7 maps at the launch of a game, down to 6 because one of them is broken? Not only that, but the PlayStation 5, I see people complaining every day that the game just constantly crashes since the stability update. And there's nothing in the pipeline to say that it's going to be fixed anytime soon. So it's just going to put more people off. If the community come forward and they say, in big numbers, there is a problem with this, it should be hotfixed within the week. A lot of the time it shouldn't even take a week, a day or 2 tops, and this stuff should be fixed. But as a lot of people have said, they believe interns have been left to deal with this game. And EA, DICE, they've all moved on to another project, which also does seem to happen quite a lot. With Outriders, the reason it could have taken 10 weeks, I'm not saying this is definite, but I still personally believe the reason it took 10 weeks for them to fix the inventories for players is because they have plans for 2 other games. So they would have just left a B team, a skeleton crew. They would have just left them in charge of fixing the game. So people that don't know anything about the coding, they would have got them to jump in, try and fix everything, whilst the main parts of the studio are working on their new projects, which are going to bring in money in a couple of years. So what I think needs to happen moving forward for this game, and obviously I have no power over this, there's probably never going to be a developer or anything that watches this video. I mean, most AAA companies by now probably fucking hate my channel. But what I believe should happen going forward is they need to prioritise bug fixing. So even if Season 1 gets delayed, at this point, 4 months after release for the first season, I don't think people care if they have to wait another 2-3 months. As long as the core features get added, or not even adding the core features, as long as the issues are getting fixed so the game is more stable for when Season 1 releases, that's going to make the player base happy. As one of the developers said themselves, bug fixing isn't too hard. But obviously, as always, these companies don't listen, they don't give a shit. They've made their initial profit and they just don't care for sustaining that profit over years to come. Even though, Star Wars Battlefront 3 and even number 2 have just been neglected in order to focus on 2042, they don't seem to be putting their fucking focus in 2042 either. It all makes no sense at all. Before the game even come out, there were development issues being rumoured, and they were spot on. But look at what happens in other companies, even top companies like Ubisoft. Look at Skull and Bones. That game's been worked on for the last like 10 years on and off, and they won't release it because they have no set sort of, this is how the game's going to play. They just keep changing it all the time. And because it's having these really big issues, it's been a nightmare for Ubisoft for the last 10 years. But EA just didn't give a shit. They saw the money, them like dollar signs in the eyeballs. They saw all that and they pushed for it. They got their release, they made their initial profits, but they're not going to make anything else. The only thing they can do right now to get money to come in is basically mislead people that haven't paid too much attention to the news and stuff around the game. They can mislead them and with their false advertising, promote the shit out of Season 1, make something like Portal free to play in some way, bring the new players in, get them involved in Season 1, there's their money. And that's why I say people need to not buy into Season 1. They need to stand their ground and go, no, you fucked me over for the last 4 months, I'm not doing this. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen with a lot of people because right now the 24-hour peak for the game on Steam is just over 5,000 players. And that's down from 100k. And I'm pretty sure they went down from like 330,000 viewers on Twitch. They don't even bring in 1,000 a day now. Like, I mean, all at one time, like concurrent viewers. They haven't peaked at 1,000 for a long time. I think I've seen it dip to as low as like 190 people watching on the whole of Twitch. So yeah, what we're going to do now, before this does turn into like a full-on podcast and is like an hour long, I've been recording for nearly 28 minutes. Obviously, if there are parts during editing that I think sound dodgy, I'll cut them out. But this video's probably about 25 minutes long. So what I want you guys to do is leave your feedback in the comments. Not only about the game, but also what do you think of this longer form content of me just sitting there talking about what's on my mind, my opinions, adding community feedback and stuff into it as well. Let me know all of that good stuff in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. And I hope you guys enjoyed it.